Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Small Business Revolution podcast. I'm your host, as always, Kyle, with my co-host, my dad, my business partner, Josh. How you doing today, Dad?
Pretty good, Kyle. Hey, everyone. Hey, listen, I hope everyone is having an absolutely amazing day. We all deserve it. I'm excited about today's episode because we're going to be talking about something that's essential for long-term success and happiness. How to find joy in your work, and it's going to go super deeper than that. It's how to find joy and happiness at work and be excited to go to work every day.
Yeah, that's right. Seeking joy in what you do makes a huge difference in your productivity, creativity, and overall well-being. So let's dive in and explore some strategies to help you rediscover the joy in your work. So as always, I will start off by reading a little definition. Today the definition is joy, since that's the big topic on hand. So the definition of joy is, if you look it up on Google, a feeling of great pleasure and happiness. And I think contrast to last week, where it was like, yes, this is the definition of failure, but it means a wildly different thing in business. I think this time it obviously you apply the different things and it means a lot of different things, but at the crux of it, that's what we're going for.
100%. You know, you could live a very happy, successful life, right? Ish. If you just live day to day, like I did that for a long time, I was okay. I wasn't really a happy person. I thought I was. You know what I mean? But like I wasn't. Um, I just ground on and just kept going. My internal self kept me driving. I didn't need that external thing because I was doing something I was really really good at. And I get a lot of self gratification in a lot of different ways, right? Until I made a decision to start living my life and change my life, to start seeking happiness and joy in my life, I wasn't able to really like fully understand how happy I was at or lack thereof at my current job or at any prospective jobs in the future or what I wanted to do with my business or anything like that. Right? Seeking happiness and joy is everything. It really is. You could have a wildly successful business, right? You make millions of dollars a year in profit, but everyone always says money can't buy happiness, and it can't. It genuinely can't, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I say to that, right, as I say anybody with no money is going to say that's BS, right? It does make it easier. If you're in a bad position, money makes life better, and it does make you happy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and it does when you're transitioning, having money makes things easier, right? But it doesn't make you happier. When you're in a bad spot, money seems to make you happy because money gave you relief. That's not happiness. That's not joy. That's relief. Be happy in the relief and enjoy the relief. But that's just
Mm-hmm.
like a step in the way, in the journey, right? Like actual, like when you hit the epitome of like I got money, I got this, I got this, I got this, right? Money and success and all this other crap have nothing to do with how much you enjoy your life, right? So people need to look at statements like that in a much more pragmatic way, right? Because everyone's like, "Oh, money doesn't buy you happiness." I go, "Yeah, the fuck it does. Money buys me happiness every day." You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But at the end of the day, like if you really bring it down micro, like it's not. That's not the case, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's many little. It's like the triggers in the back of my right, like endorphin releasing and things like that. That seems happy, right? When you spend
Yeah.
money on something you really, really want, that's like you couldn't afford, say 6 months ago. You're happy because you got a thing you really
Yeah.
wanted, right? And you fought, you waited, and you struggled, and you saved to get it, and it releases endorphins in your brain. Don't confuse that for overall lifelong happiness because as soon as you get used to
Mm-hmm.
having that thing, you're not going to be happy anymore. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? If it's a gadget or a widget or a thingamajig, it's 2 or 3 days. You're not going to be as happy as you were. You're like, yeah, this is awesome. Okay. You know what I mean? It's not going to give you total enlightenment in your life. It's not going to be like,
Yeah.
oh, I love
Exactly.
my life because I
Yeah.
got that new thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It will give you fake happiness, but people don't understand the distinction, right?
Yeah.
Like,
100%.
I like my job. Okay, but do you love your job? No. Well, that's a problem, right? Are you
Mm-hmm.
happy at your job? No. Well, no, I'm happy. Oh, you're happy? What do you do? I don't want to talk about it. Then you're not happy at your job.
Exactly. Yeah.
right?
No, 100%.
So
Yeah.
sorry, I went off on a little tangent there.
No, no, you're good. You're all good. I mean, everything you said is very true, though. Like, it's 100% true, and it really leads us to our first talking point, which is understanding the importance of joy in your work. And to me, like joy in the workplace is exactly like you said. Like loving what you're doing will bring you joy while you're working. Like, it sounds funny when you say it like that, because
Yeah,
like it's like everyone knows that, you know what I mean? And but especially when because we're talking to a lot of people that want to start a business or own a small business and they're working on growing it, the most important thing is finding something that you love, because if you don't love it, then the work atmosphere isn't going to be joyful and happy. You're not going to be joyful and happy. Nothing about it is going to be joyful and happy.
right. And there's two perspectives to look at this from. One is
Mm-hmm.
from our perspective, from a business owner, and one is from an
Mm-hmm.
employee, right? From a business perspective from an owner's perspective, or the CEO or a VP or any boss of multiple employees at all,
Yeah.
you have to consider this always, right? Do you like retraining people? I don't. Do you like dealing with attrition at your company? I don't. No one does, right? Why does that happen? Because people are unhappy at work and they go find a new job that they think is going to make them happy, right? Well, why let them do that? Why not help them find something at your company that they can do that makes them happy, right? That they enjoy. Because guess what? When you find that for somebody, they never leave.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you help them find that, like you kind of guide them if you need to, whatever, to get them in that place, right? You see someone unhappy, I talk to them about, but like, hey, you seem really unhappy. No, no, I'm good. I'm like, nah, I'm just not feeling it, dude. Like, you're not, like, everything suffers because of it, but I can tell you're just not happy. And I don't know if it's a work thing or a personal thing, right? Then you have to address it in a different way. On a personal level, though, dude, if you're not happy you're working in the process of working way more than you're awake, or way more than you're not working or in the process of working. What do I mean by that? When my alarm goes off in the morning, right? 7 a.m. alarm goes off. I go bang. From that point forward, I'm getting out of bed and getting ready for work, right? Because under no circumstance would I ever get up at 7 a.m. on a day when I don't have to work, right? So getting up at 7 sucks. I'm not a morning person. I'm a night owl. But even if I was a morning
Mm-hmm.
person, it still sucks. I don't want to get up at 7, right?
Yeah.
I don't start working at 7, but I get up. I have my routine, right? Guess what? I love getting up at 7. I love my routine because I love my job, right?
Mm-hmm.
I own the company, but I have jobs I have to do every day. Kyle owns half this company. He has jobs he has to do every single day, right? And he's happy to get up every single day and go to work, and so am I. Because
Yep.
we said, okay, let's figure this out as an employee approach. What of these things do I like and do I not like doing? What of these things will Kyle like doing and not like doing? And then show him how to do those things and let him figure out his own path and not say, do like this and this and this. Figure out what makes best for you, the most sense for you, right? And I told Kyle, I said, look, you might not be doing things in the 100% most efficient way, right? But he's doing something now that he absolutely loves. And there was a shift. He didn't really like it, and then he started loving it, right? The
Mm-hmm.
shift was when he went from doing everything the way I told him to do it so he could learn how to do it. So I'm like, okay, now you know the basics. Now I want you to figure out a system that works best for you. And he goes, what do you mean? I'm like, I don't know. You got to figure out the best way for you, the way that makes you comfortable doing this job in day out, the most efficient way for you. I will help you and guide you and answer questions, but I'm not going to tell you what to do because that's not following my directives is not going to make you happy. It's because it's not the most comfortable way for you to do it necessarily, for whatever that means, right? Cool. And from that point forward, you're like, oh, okay. And then a couple days later, you're like, I fucking love my job. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
cool, you love that's great. You know what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
it's and not that I don't like doing the things you do, but my point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I had we both have to wear many hats. Every business owner
Yeah.
does, and a lot of employees wear multiple hats too, right?
Yeah.
So you have to make sure your employees are wearing the correct hats for them, right? You might
Yeah.
hire them to come in and be a sales rep, right? And they suck. That doesn't mean drop them and let them go. That means talk to them and find another position at your company for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you value them as a human. is going to create extra happiness at work, even though they don't like their job, because you recognize that they don't like their job. So you're going to be proactive and talk to them and say, hey, let's figure out something that makes you happy because you're good at this, even. You're good at sales, but you are not
Yeah.
happy. I can tell every day you're not happy. You don't like making phone calls. You don't like, you're like, you're fine. And then you got the phone. I can see it in your face, right? I'll have those conversations with people. Kyle and I have had some really uncomfortable conversations between each other about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like me talking to Kyle about things that make me unhappy and what I do every day, and vice versa.
Yeah.
It's not an easy thing to do, but you have to do it. You have to do it yourself, right? You want to analyze your work. When I would go to a job or whatever you want to say, or I was in a job, I'm like, okay, what of this do I like and what of this do I not like, right? And then can I lean into the things I like and not do the things I don't like in some way, shape, or form? Or can I evolve this into this? Or can I do it like this or that? Right? There's no right or wrong way to approach this. Though I shouldn't say that. There's the only wrong way to approach this is to not approach it.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like I went at one company. I went from hating when this all really sunk in. Right, for me, I went from working at a company and I hated it and I was ready to walk out the door. Right? I took a weekend, I took a big step back, took a deep breath, and really evaluated myself and my life and who I am. And I decided to make a switch. And then within a week, I loved my job. I talked to my boss about a few things I was very unhappy about. I'm like, is there another way I can go about doing this? Or do I have to do this exact pattern? Or can I do it a different way that's more comfortable for me? He goes, I don't care how you do it as long as it gets done. I was like, okay, awesome. He's like, just don't tell everyone else. But I know you're detailed, oriented. You'll get it done the right way. As long as it
Hmm.
gets to me the way I need it, I don't care what order you do it. I said, okay, cool. He's like, well, let's, keep an eye on it. I'm like, okay.
Hmm.
Started doing that. I was way happier, right? It was a little tiny thing. I did all the same tasks, but I was able to do it in my way, which gave
Yeah.
me freedom and power, right?
Hmm.
So for me, that empowered me to feel happy and successful and joyful because I was able to do things my way that I know were the most effective for me because the
Hmm.
faster way was taking me longer because that wasn't working for me, right? In
Yeah.
the end, that one little minor shift by just giving me permission to do this process in my own way, which is fine by the way. It was just the company had a way to do it, and there is again,
Yeah.
there's like 10 ways to do it, but they said do it.
Hmm.
I didn't, you know what I mean? It just didn't jive for some reason, right? Within a couple weeks, within like a week, my performance started going up. Within a couple weeks, my boss was talking to his boss about giving other people the same opportunities. Not everyone, but other people, because
Hmm.
the shift in me was so significant, right? For a little tiny thing, it was drastic. And he's like, I want to do this
Yeah.
with other people, and they did, and it had the same effect on them. There is no more proof than that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
people need
Exactly.
to figure out a way to make themselves happy at work, right? If you're like, dude, okay, this job, there's like, I hate this, I don't like this, I don't like that. Then why are you there?
Hmm.
Get a new job. People are like, you can't just get a new job. You can. There's millions of jobs, right? Like I was literally just talking to my young cousin. He worked at Walmart, right? He went in on his first date. He showed up over 2 hours late. He walked in. He's like, "Hey, I'm here to work." They're like, "Okay, here's your." They can't get anyone to work for them, right?
Yeah.
People don't want to work, and when you have someone at your company that actually wants to work, right? Why not take the extra time to invest in them to make sure that they're happy? Right?
Exactly.
Why not take the extra time for yourself as an employee to make sure that you're happy?
Hmm.
If you're not, say, you know what? I don't leave. Say, you know what? I like this company. Do I like the company? Yes. The company's amazing. I don't like my job. So go talk to your boss.
Yeah.
Ask them, be like, I
Yeah.
loved working at the company. I'm just really unhappy with my job. Is there any other things I can check the job board at the company if it's big enough? If it's not, talk to the boss and
Hmm.
be open and upfront. They're not going to fire you for being honest with them, right? Be like,
No. 100%.
I love working for this company. I'm just not really happy in what I do, right? I know there's not any other. I've had this conversation. I know there's not any other positions available right now, But as they become available, I would like to be considered for other positions, even if it's a
Hmm.
lateral move. I'm not necessarily
Yeah.
looking to go up, even if it's lateral. And to be honest with you, I would even take a slight step down into a
Yeah.
different role, more of a learning position in a new department with less money, even
Hmm.
because that's how important my happiness is, right? And I promise you, if you take that approach and they find a position for you, you're going to make the same money. They're not going to ding you hard. If they do, then say, okay, cool, go find another company, right, to work for. Obviously, if you're in like there's rules. There's some exceptions to that rule. Um, but if you're going from like a basic this to a basic that, they're not going to ding your salary or anything like that. They want
Yeah.
to make you
No,
happy.
100%.
Dude, you're coming to them saying, I love your company. I want to be a long term employee. Please help me do that. My answer is
Hmm.
I want to give him a hug and say, okay, let's figure it out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's so important to have people like that on board, but more important as from an employee perspective, right? It's so important to have a job that you care about because then when you got to get up at 7, you're excited to get up, right? More than half of your day is around work, and you're unhappy.
Yeah.
You get up, you're excited to get up. You're excited to go to work. When you're working, you're like, dude, everyone has bad days. But most of the time, when you get up, when you're working, when you're doing it, you're like you're in a good mood. You're jovial. You're like, hey, blah blah blah, or a better mood for you, whatever that looks like. You know what I'm saying? Like I know
Yeah.
grumpy people, um, but at the end of the day, like it really comes down to what makes you happy inside and what brings you joy inside. Right? You might be in a
Hmm.
very very wrong industry. Right?
Yeah. 100%.
If what makes you happy and brings you joy is helping people, but you're a salesperson at a company where the average customer goes to 1.8 stores or 1.8, they check 1.8 places on average before they make a buying decision. You got to be a savage one-time closer. You're the
Hmm.
people that like to help people. That is not a good position for them. You know what I mean? It's not. But
Yeah.
you know what could be a good thing for them? Maybe they would make a great appointment setter because they understand the sales process. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're good at talking to people and being nice to people, but they don't like that other part. Well, being an appointment setter, you get that, right? So they might be better in accounting. They might be much better. They honestly, people like that genuinely care about other people on the deep level like that. You might have to seriously consider going to another industry altogether, right?
Yeah.
Like to not throw anything out, but like there's lots of associations and lots of businesses out there that are intended to help people,
Yeah.
as
And
homeless or whatever.
yeah, and plus like that's our main thing too. Like we we've talked about this for a while. Like we have a lot of different avenues that people could fall under. We have our big three, as we like to call it, between us, our big three, and and some person might not like the sales aspect side. Some person they feel like they're better for social media, but they're not really fitting there. But I think they'd be a really good builder, or they'd be a really good salesperson. And it's all about just finding what they love. And for us, obviously, because we also care about our employees, that comes into effect. But also, if you don't love what you do, you're not going to work as hard.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And you're not going to work up to your fullest potential. And we really love to see people work to their fullest potential and reach their highest potential possible. And that's something that's really special for both of us to see. Because we feel very strongly about people working and getting up to that highest potential because that's what we do every single day. We strive to reach our highest potential, and so we want our employees to also reach that high potential mark that we know that they have in them because we wouldn't hire them if we didn't see that they have the potential to be even greater than they see themselves as down the line. You know what I mean?
exactly.
And yeah,
Exactly.
but
You know what? Like,
you
what's that?
I was gonna say you touched on a few of our talking points there, and that was perfect. Like identifying what you love at work, that was a big one. Creating a positive work environment, that's all another big thing that I just want to point out the topics when they come across to people, so that way they know that
Yeah,
these are like
I just want to touch
that
I
identifying
just
what
want
they
to
are.
touch on that real quick, right? In a
Hmm.
good positive work environment, dude. Like, it literally could be something as simple as you work at a company and they say you're in your cubicle. Like, I work for companies. They said you're not allowed to have personal like anything like pictures and stuff like that, right? Ask for permission. You know what I mean? Like that's silly. And I think most companies have gotten away from that. Um,
Hmm.
but like some companies are like they want everything super clean, super da 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 da, clean looking, like shiny, pristine. Everything has to be just so, right? But you're not a robot. You're not a machine, right?
Yeah.
Um, and maybe you absolutely love your job and everything you do, but you need a little more flexibility with being able to talk on the phone. Like you have kids when they get out of school, you need to have a little more flexibility to talk to them without worrying about someone like yelling at you because your kids called
Hmm.
to let you know they're home and you wanted to see how they're doing and tell them where their snack was. You know what I mean? So like instead of people need to stop pulling the trigger so quick, right? Instead of saying, "Oh, I can't do this, so I'm fucking leaving," right? Like take steps to to like to make changes in your environment if possible. And sometimes that's going to mean going to talk to your boss or your boss's boss to get approval, right? Do it. Try it. If you go with some really basic thing that is should, in your opinion, should be in place and or should be allowed, and you have a valid reason for it, and you have a good pitch for it,
Hmm.
go talk to your boss, right? Don't go over their head. Go talk to your boss, see what they say, right? And if they don't respond in a way you like, then go over his head. It's for the better of the company.
100%.
Every company I've ever
Yeah.
worked for, I've taken this approach. If you take this approach in every company you work for, you will find a way to be happy every time. I'm like, okay, I would go to work for a company. I'm like, cool. I treat every business as if I'm a part owner, right? It makes it a lot easier to figure out something that you like and that is, or how to work around things to bring yourself happiness in your work environment if you think it's yours,
Yeah.
right? I would always take that approach whenever I would go in and throughout time, right? Because then when you got to put in that little extra, it's not so painful, right?
Hmm.
But no matter like say 99% of the time you don't have to put in that much work, and then 1% of the time you have to put in work and it's painful, right? If you're not happy at work and you're not feeling that joy, that 1% of the time is gonna ruin not just that moment, but the other 99%.
Yeah. Exactly. 100%. I agree with you 110% on that one.
Yeah, this is kind of a tough topic because there is no right or wrong answer. There is no rhyme or
Hmm.
reason necessarily that everyone could follow or whatever. It's no
Yeah.
path that everyone could follow. It's individual for everyone, right? And you can't say what would make me happy. Well, not to work. Well, yeah, no shit, that would make everybody happy, right?
Yeah.
But like, what type of work will make me happy, right? And
Hmm.
feel like nothing I've done to this point has is making me happy. Okay, cool. Then go do something else,
Yeah.
right? Like, give it an actual shot and really dive in, right? There's no amount of research you can do necessarily. You can, but like, oh, I think working at this one company will make me really happy, and then spend your life trying to get into that company. That's insane. So
Yeah. No, I agree with you 110% on that. Um, so I guess one of the next things that I really think that's going to be important for us to talk about is I'm going to skip around a little bit because I think this really leads well into what we're talking about is continuous learning and growth. That to me, I feel like is something that doesn't get valued a lot when people talking about, oh, I love my job, because when people don't like their job, it's normally because they're stuck doing the same thing every single day. They're not learning new things. They're not growing. Like it's learning and growing. I know like some people are like, oh, I hate learning, but your brain doesn't hate learning. Your brain actually loves it. You know what I mean? And so, and if it's something you already like and you're passionate about, your brain will take it in like that, like no time
it'll
flat.
just turn into a sponge
So
all on its own.
yeah, exactly. It'll turn into a sponge. And so constant if you're a business owner, constant opportunities to keep growing and learning for employees, I feel like is something that is very undervalued and if you can capitalize on it correctly and know how to use it, I feel like that could be your greatest tool to creating a joyful work environment for everyone.
Yeah, 100%. And part of this, I'll say this: there is a big shift that any business can take that's going to make life way easier for all their employees, right? How do I say this without like offending a lot of people? Um, I don't care. When you have a business, we don't have 100 employees. I'm gonna use 100 employees as a scenario, right?
Yeah.
If you own a business, if you run a business, if you run a department, if you're in charge of anybody but yourself, right? Every single person in your fucking company needs to say, okay, there's 100 employees that I'm in charge of, right? So I'm in charge of 100 people. I'm the man. You're not the fucking man. You have a lot of work. That means I don't look at 100 employees like I have 100 employees. I look at 100 employees like I have 100 bosses. My job is to make sure that they have all the tools they need so they can be as effective as humanly possible. They don't have to look for shit. They don't have to do anything. We have them set up for success, right? And we're right there behind them. Anything they need, we got their back, and every single one of my employees knows that, right? I have yet to replace an employee. You know what I mean? All my people stay because even if they're unhappy in a moment, they know I got their back. If they're unhappy, they know I'm unhappy, and I'm sharing that with them, right? I'm
Hmm.
sharing the weight of that with that individual employee. And then say Tom has the same. I'm doing the same thing with Tom, and I'm doing the same thing with Karen, and the same thing with Kim. I'll take all the weight from them. I don't as much as they can give me, I'll take, right? And
Yeah.
then I support them and give them what they need. So because you know what, it's my business. I need to make sure my business is successful, right?
Hmm.
If I just leave those guys hanging, I know at least two of them I would have had to replace by now.
Yeah. 100%.
I know that for a fact. Statistically speaking, there's no shot I would have replaced a couple of them by now, right? It doesn't matter, dude. If you treat people like they're as important to you as your business, they're not gonna leave, and they're gonna find a ways to feel happy because they're gonna feel very comfortable talking about all kinds of stuff and going back and forth because they know you have their back because it's your company and you want your company to be successful. And since you can't make 100 phone calls at once, you can't answer 100 phone calls at once and do customer service, and you can't do this and you can't do that all at once. You need these people to do it for you, right?
Yeah.
So instead of coming down and stepping on them saying, fuck you, get your job done, don't be an asshole to people on the phone, right? Support them. You know what I mean? Like, listen, I understand you're having this difficulty with this customer. Let's do this, right? They hit me
Yeah.
up, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, cool. Let's do this. How about,
Hmm.
think about that, right? And I'll throw a scenario and I get their opinion. And if they don't like it, then I'm like, okay, well, what ideas do you have? And let's kind of find a good, right? And a lot of times I'll end up being
Hmm.
a mix. But my point is, they're treated with the respect they deserve because without that, like people and bosses are like, without me in my company, you wouldn't have a fucking job, right? True. But without employees, you don't have a fucking company, homie.
Exactly.
End of the day, if all your employees walked out the door
Hmm.
tomorrow, you're fucked. End of
Yeah.
story. And
Hmm.
guess what? The
100%.
real problem is people are actually starting to understand this.
Yeah.
Employees are actually starting to understand this and take it to heart. Everyone gets pissed off at millennials and all these younger generations, right? They're like, they're lazy, they're this, they're that. They're fucking not lazy. They know what they want in life, right?
Hmm.
They know what they want to do, or at least they know where they want to start. God bless them. Go fight for it. Why, why,
Yeah.
why bash them and treat them like garbage? Like, chase it,
100%.
dude. If you want it, chase it. I don't care how old you are. Kyle, how old are you?
I'm 22 years old.
22 years old, right? You got out of school. You're
Hmm.
like, dude, Dad, I think I want to do this with you. I'm like, all right, let's come in, give it a try. Played around with a few things. You're like, I want it. I'm like, all right, we'll earn it. I said,
Yeah.
I'll give you as much of the. What did I tell you? I said, I will give you my son as
Hmm.
much of the business as you earn.
Yeah.
Right? How much of the business do
Yep.
you want?
50% of the business.
Because you bust your fucking balls. Right? Every
Hmm.
one of our employees fights the same way for us. You know why? Because we fight the same way for them.
100%.
We fight for them before they have to fight for our company.
Yeah.
Right? And they know that. And they feel it.
Hmm.
And if something they're doing they don't like, they tell us. And we figure it out. Right? And then we implement other solutions. And sometimes it's like, dude, I can't. We can't. Like, you have to do that thing. I know it sucks. Instead of eliminate. It's not always just. It's not eliminating. By the way, it's figuring out a better way to do it that makes it easier. That a lot of times it's figuring out the better way to do it for that employee. Right?
Mm-hmm.
People are nobody is the same. Nobody is robots. You know what I mean? You and I are about as
Yeah.
close in personality as anybody could get, and we're very different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're my DNA, and people get us mixed up all the time. They're like, "Wow, you guys sound a lot." Dude, it's not even our voice, just what we talk about and stuff. But
No,
once I
100%. Yeah.
actually start talking, and once he actually starts talking, you guys have been listening for a while. You know, there's a pretty significant difference between me and Kyle, right? But
Yeah.
the way we think is the same, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's still the way we do things though is different. The same process,
Yeah.
same project, we do different,
Mm-hmm.
right? So your employees are the same. You can't give them a piece of paper with a roadmap and say this is the only way to do this, right? Big corporations, they do it. They don't have a choice, right? They feel they don't have a choice. There's no other options, but there is options. There's always,
There always is. There
right?
is always
If you
options.
care enough to find them, there is always options. Every one of those big corporations that say there is no options, if you go to any of their meetings with their employees, talking to their managers, or bigger meetings with employees
Mm-hmm.
asking for things, right? They're like, this is a problem. Can you do this or this or this or this? And there are things that can be done, and the company just refuses to invest the money to make their employees' lives easier. They would rather just let the people leave and hire more people and retrain them, and then they leave, and then they hire more people and retrain them, and then they leave. And then, you see what I mean? It's this vicious cycle. That's
Yeah.
dude. I hate corporations. I hate corporate America.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be a corporation, but we're not going to be that corporation. I promise you that.
Mm-mm.
There's a
No,
lot
we're changing
out
everything.
there like now that are either not like that or are already starting to make the change.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, generally across the board, generally speaking, there are businesses that have been, you know, the younger have been handed out like to you, to fully over to like the younger generation, a younger generation with different ideas,
Yeah.
right? That's always been the case throughout history, right? With businesses, when you hand it down, the next generation always wants to make a change, for
Yeah.
to get you more up to speed with the
Mm-hmm.
current economy and the current environment that we
Yeah.
right? So, but there's even some of the old school, the old gens, right? I mean, people are like 70 years old, 75 years old that are getting ready to retire, that are implementing changes now because they want to make sure before they leave that this shit is done in place because they see the value, right? That's
Exactly. Yeah.
volumes, right? People that are like,
Mm-hmm.
because the older generation of businesses, I mean, not people, right? Older businesses is what I'm talking about, right? Generational businesses that have been around for 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years and have gone and stayed within the family kind of thing, right? You know, it's like, no, this has always worked. I don't want to change it.
Yeah, and I like I agree with everything that you said. I think it was. I mean, again, you hit on a lot of good points during that conversation, and it was really awesome. And I guess the next thing that I really think that's very important. We have a few more points to touch on, so we're gonna do a little fun thing. I'm gonna let you pick what topic you talk about first. All right, we're gonna do a little fun. Josh picks the topic here. So we have setting meaningful goals for both sides, as employee or owner, or balancing work and personal life. For both? Well, what would you like to talk about?
Balancing work and personal life.
Okay,
That's
I
something
knew you were gonna lean that way, but
what's that?
I knew you were gonna lean that way. Because I know that's something you feel very strongly about, so I figured
And I
that's the way you're
struggle
gonna
with
lean. But
I
I want to give
struggle
you
with
the choice. Yeah.
every day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I, so yeah, you know, balancing work and personal life, I personally struggle with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I I found something that I loved, and I just kept doing it on higher and higher levels at bigger and bigger companies. Starting with mom and pops, worked my way into corporate America, and I just kept doing the same thing on bigger and bigger levels, right? Um, so I was very happy with what I was doing on my day to day. I loved it. I was very happy with the trajectory of my career and where I could go. And I had a clear path. And
Mm-hmm.
like I said, I loved my job and it made me happy, right?
Yeah.
And then as I understood joy and happiness more, I was able to tweak it and make it even better. Like I was like, pop out of bed, let's go, right? I'm about it. Let's go to work. Let's get it.
Yeah.
Um, but I always struggle greatly with balancing that personal life and work life because I love my family so much, but I also love my job so much, right? And then the real struggle came in because like I need my job though to support my family. Not that
Yeah.
mom works, but still, like I'm like she feels the same way. Like we have to
Hmm.
support our family, so I'm like I have to work to support my family. But at the end of the day, if I don't give my family the attention, then I working is for nothing because I'm not going to have family to support, right?
Yeah.
So it's it's always like need to make sure you give everyone enough of yourself, right?
Hmm.
And honestly, in the back end, this is not really part of the conversation, but you need to make sure that you leave enough left over for yourself.
Yeah, and I was just about to say that too because one of honestly, you've always done really good at balancing the personal life aspect with family. Like we work, and then when everyone gets home from work, we all do our family stuff. We hang out, we eat, we all chill, vibe.
Play
If
games.
everyone's kind of doing, yeah, exactly. If everyone's kind of doing their own like work thing, you'll work a little bit. But if we're all hanging out, you're like, yeah, I'm not gonna work. I work right now. This is family time, and then nighttime comes around, and you get some stuff done at night. But I think the more important, another actually thing that should be on there is balancing work, personal life, and like yourself.
Yeah,
Because the problem was becoming you were like so you were super excited and you're like I just want to get a bunch of stuff done that you stay up super late into the night. You know what I mean?
and it would destroy me the next day. And you
Exactly.
can
And then
still
you would
work
just
and keep grinding, but like
hmm
I don't care who you are, you can't sustain that. Not effectively for any amount of time. It's just not realistic. You know what I
hmm
mean? And medically, I think it's probably proven, but I'm not going
yeah.
to say that for a fact.
Yeah, we don't have the stats in front of us, but I'm sure one quick Google search will prove what we're saying. You know what I mean?
100%.
I mean, it's
But
not that hard to prove, right? So,
yeah, and at the end of the day, like, um, you know, for me, balancing work and family, it's like, and personal time, it's like, how do you balance like something that makes you really happy with something else that makes you really, really happy with something else that you makes you really happy and you actually need. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Um, so for me, it's like, how do I balance work, whether it's my company or com- as an owner or as an employee? It was always the
hmm
same, right? How do I balance my job and my happiness, and then my in addition to my actual need and drive to like make as much money as I possibly can, so my family can be okay and just enjoy life a little bit, right?
hmm
I don't take that approach now. That was like when I was working for someone like with a salary and it's
Yeah.
like I need to make more. You know what I mean? Like it's a different mindset, right? So I went from that to like this crazy minimalistic mindset where I'm like, I only want to take out the company that I absolutely need, and then the rest
Yeah.
is going right back into the business, right?
Yeah.
So
100%. Yeah. No, I'm with you.
you know,
Like, yeah. I
it's
mean,
tough. It's
yeah.
like, but if we didn't do that, right, we would have more money for like to we'd have a lot more money to play around with for like our personal life. Go do this, go do that. But like that's also going to make our business suffer because we're not going to be as in it as we should be. We're just going to be doing okay forever. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's a when you have a couple of good things and you're trying to balance them out. There's one thing winning over another. There's always consequences, right? If
Yeah.
your personal life wins, your business suffers. If your business life
Mhm.
wins, your personal life suffers, right?
Yeah.
Or you say, okay, if one of them starts to falter, then I'm going to give all my personal time too, right, to that so that they don't falter, and then you have no personal time. And that,
Yeah.
for me, that's catastrophic. You know what I mean?
No, and I'm the same way. Yeah.
Um, some people like say they don't need personal time. I don't know anybody personally that doesn't need their own alone time, whether it's
hmm
in the car on their way home, which is not the best time to take your alone time, right? You need to find time for you where you can sit down and just be with you in yourself, have whatever thoughts you want to have, with no one asking you what are you thinking about, what's going on, talk to me about
hmm
what's in your head, what are you writing, blah blah blah, or just being like, why do you got this look on your face, right? Sometimes I just come in my office and I know I have this nasty look on my face, but it's just I'm just relaxed and I'm thinking about like all these different things, and it's for me in that moment that's good for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like if anyone else, they're like, what's wrong? What do you think about? Well, I'm
hmm
not gonna get into all that, dude. Like this is
Yeah.
my time, right? So
Yeah. No,
like my work
100%.
time is my work time. It ends at this time, right? Then if you're an employee, when your work ends, When your work is done for the day, you're done for the day. Be done,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's no need to be thinking about work, checking your email 17 times. Even if you're in sales, I promise you, even if you're in sales, if you start responding to people, if you get done at 5 and you start responding to people at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, now for the rest of your life, you're going to be doing that.
Yeah.
Because once you get that train started, once that train starts going, it is difficult to stop it, my friend. I tell you from experience. Right?
Yeah.
So, but you have to find a balance. So, like when
Mm-hmm.
we end our day, when everyone gets home, my wife and you know what I mean, my daughter, when everyone gets home, Kyle and I end our work day. Right? Most people's work days are not ended, so I keep my work phone on. Right? Plus, we own the business, so we keep the business phone on us all the time
Yeah. That.
because that does
Mm-hmm.
take precedence because we're owners. But as an employee, I would turn that fucking thing off at 5 o'clock. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And then I spend time with my family, and then after my wife's busy, sometimes she has work, so I'll work on stuff. You know, we all do it together. Like it's all like a joint thing. Like she's got to work, I'll go do a personal thing. My son does, my daughter does, or we all
Mm-hmm.
just
Or mom will be reading to take her personal time, and we go do our personal time stuff. You know what I mean? I mean, it's
exactly,
everyone has a balance that works for them. Yeah.
exactly. And then Kyle and I have time at night because we're both kind of night owls. After the girls go to bed and do their thing, where we take our personal time and focus on the things that are important to us. Right. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, it's work, personal, work, sleep. That's my thing. But here's the catch: the stuff I do at night, that's the stuff that I'm like want to do, that I'm really excited about. There are projects that
Exactly.
are coming up. There's things that like that need my heart and my brain and my full attention. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
These are projects that are going to drop in the next week or month or whatever. We have a whole bunch of stuff we're working on. Like that's when I work on that stuff. When work has been turned off for hours, and then everyone's in bed, right? So my family time is turned off. So now it's just me, and then I
Yeah.
work on my stuff. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes there's splash over and stuff. You gotta deal with it as it comes. But if you set it up intentfully, right, that way when there is spillover, your family's okay with it. Like my family's okay if I can't hang out with them for 2 days in a row because I'm like doing all the stuff, running appointments, got going gangbusters, right? Or we're building this and doing this and doing this, and I can't, or Kyle and I can't, or Kyle can't. Like our family's very understanding and Kyle's girlfriend is very understanding, right? Because we're
Mm-hmm.
there all the time when we're supposed to be
Yeah.
regimented. We make sure we carve time out for them and we make sure that they feel it,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah. hundred
So
percent.
when we do that very intentionally, so when we have to take time away from them, they're like, it's okay, do your thing. We know you got it, babe. You got it. Go get it. You know what I mean? Like, and
Yeah.
they're
Any extra
behind us.
time?
Instead of being pissed off at us, they're behind us, cheering us on.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
Any extra time that we can spend with them, like if they're on a lunch break and they give us a call, like we make sure and answer because it's important. You know what I mean? I mean, personal life is very important, and I mean it's and as a business owner and with our employees, like we make sure that, I mean, their lives matter. You know what I mean? Like they're our employees, but they're people first. You know what I mean? And we know that, we completely understand that because we're business owners, but we're people first. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
I think a lot of time, especially with big business, that aspect gets lost a lot among a lot of people where they're just employees and not people. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
that's why we're trying to change that.
yeah. Once a company becomes a certain size, everyone becomes a number. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's like their employee number. That's who they are, right?
Hmm.
And your voice and your opinion doesn't carry weight with anybody over a certain level. Uh, it doesn't matter. Um, I worked at a company where I saw some things happening, and kind of the writing was on the wall for some pretty nasty shit that was about to happen. So I went to my boss, and he laughed at me. So I went straight to the top. I went to the
Hmm.
CEO. I made an appointment with him, and I sat down. And I said, "Listen, I know this is going to sound kind of weird, but I see something happening, and I'm highly concerned about it because I'm an employee of this company, and I actually love my job, and I would like to share it with you." And he's like, "Okay." So we sat down and we kind of went through it for like an hour, and he understood where I was coming from, and then he politely told me, like, thanked me, and whatever. Um, Ignored everything I said, never addressed it. And we talked about it after the fact as well. Never thought about what I said ever again. Never considered that what I was saying was meaningful in any way. And the company ended up taking $100 million hit over the course of 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
right? You can imagine what that did to their workforce,
Yeah.
right? You have to listen to people. You have to respect them. Just because they're not a fucking VP or a CEO doesn't mean they don't know what they're talking about. Doesn't mean
Yeah.
they're not smart. The people in the trenches, you should be listening to the people. Everyone should be listening to the people in the trenches, right? You like the people, your employees, or the people that are listening to this. That like I'm an employee, right? People should be listening to you more than the managers and the managers and the VPs and the this and this because they're in the trenches. They see what's going on. You know what I mean? Like they see it,
Mm-hmm.
they feel it. They're like, oh, this is right. So if I want to know what's going on in an environment in a community or in a community with that we work in, I don't I don't just go to the internet or talk to you. I talk to our people that either live
Yeah.
in that place or work in that place that work for us,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's
Yeah.
their territory, I guess, right? Or they live in the area that work for us,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I talk to them because they know the area, and
Yeah.
I might need to get a better beat and a pulse for that area. So, but at the end of the day, like you have to be able to learn where to segment and cut personal from professional, right?
Yeah.
Because like these things I'm talking
100%.
about, like they spill over and eat at my brain,
Mm-hmm.
right? During my personal time, I found a way to make that stop happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have like a little notebook, you know, my little spiral notebook.
Yeah.
Take it. Hey, I I keep one of these in my pocket. I have a notebook I keep downstairs in my living room next to the chair we sit in, right? I keep notebooks around. Try to keep my pocket with a pen. And if I have something, just jot it down and then forget about it. Guess what? If I don't have a pen, I don't have my notebook, right? I always have my phone. I legitimately text myself from my personal phone to my work phone.
Mm-hmm. Or that, or you're like, oh, I think Kyle should know this, and then you just shoot me an email, and then you're like, I
But we have a rule.
and
I allow to check my
we
email
have a
after that.
rule. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I don't check. I answer calls, right, from the business.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I'll answer calls and stuff because it would be some type of a client or something. But at the end of
Exactly.
the
Yeah.
day, that's just a me thing and a mom thing. Mom's all about mom's. That's important to her as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, um, but we talked about all this stuff ahead of
Yeah.
time, so to make sure
100%.
that we had the best work life balance that we could possibly create with this
Mm-hmm.
whole, chaos of our business and what mom does for a living and Mackenzie working and then going back
Yeah.
to school in the fall and
Yeah,
you know
and
what I mean?
it's
It's just a
just
lot of stuff.
yeah, and it's like you said, we found something that works for us, and it took a little bit to find something that works for us. I mean, kept trying and trial and
Yeah,
trial. Yeah, and we finally got there. I mean, it's just something that you just got to keep working at and just keep improving on. I mean, that's all it is. And then as you enter new phases of life, it'll have to change, and you'll just keep going and going. But you'll always be able to find the balance if you make sure to prioritize making sure that the balance is a thing. You
yeah.
know what I mean?
So,
As long as you
I'll,
consciously thinking about it,
yep.
it'll be there.
If you consciously think about it, dude, and in the beginning, I literally set alarms on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm like, my work day, my alarm goes off, my work day is done. My next alarm goes off, then that means that it's my time to go start doing my own thing, right?
Yeah.
If I haven't done before, right? That's my time that's scheduled into our family. And if
Mm-hmm.
my family's not in bed by the time I go do my nighttime stuff, guess what? I still go do my nighttime stuff, right?
Yeah.
Unless we're doing something, excuse me, important.
Yeah.
Um, but like that's my time. So if I decide to change my time, that's cool. The most
Mm-hmm.
important thing outside of the segmentation, though, it's really to listen. You need to listen to yourself. You need to talk to, and listen to the people that you care about most, like your family that you're with all outside of work. Um, Come up with a plan and a system for yourself, and talk to your family. Be like, dude, I'm not happy at my job, and I can't even imagine how to figure out how to make myself happy at my job.
Yeah.
Figure it out for weeks, right? Well,
Mm-hmm.
guess what? That was probably a week too long. If it takes you that long to figure out what you can do to make you happy at work, then that's the number one sign you need to find a new job.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
Unless you enjoy being unhappy, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I say that a little bit sarcastically, but some people are just they're good in that zone, right? They're like unhappy,
Yeah.
but they live their best life for some reason, and nothing will bring
Mm-hmm.
them happiness and joy. So God bless them, whatever, right? Like that's on them.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Doesn't have to be on you. It doesn't have to be on me. It doesn't have to be on anyone listening to this podcast. It doesn't have to be on anyone. Like at the end of the day, just listen to yourself. Be very pragmatic. Be very
Mhm.
black and white. Talk to your spouse. Talk to your significant other. Talk to the people in your life that you love. Talk to your kids. Talk to
Mhm.
everyone. Get everyone's opinion. Right? Kyle, how old were you when I started talking about real life shit? Like real life stuff. 9, 8, 10?
I was young.
You know what I mean? Like I'm like, bro,
Mhm.
it doesn't matter. It does. I'm like, you need to learn to be a person, right?
Mhm.
We never let people talk baby talk to our kids either. I'm like, they're people. Their brains are developing, and if they come out blubbering like that, I'm gonna come and take it out on you because you're talking to my kid like he's a moron, and
Mhm.
he's gonna mimic me and my wife and you and other people that speak to him as he learns how to talk, right? Like people don't think about things. They don't think about the back end and the follow through and what it could mean on the long end, right?
Yeah.
So how can you
100%.
expect them to just assume that they can be happy at work? I promise
Yeah.
you can be. I promise.
Mhm. 100%. So that's we checked off everything. I think I really had. Um, do you have anything final you'd like to add in to the
No,
conversation, or?
I will say this though. I've had jobs that impeded my personal time and my family because the availability in my family, my job spilled over that. And no matter how happy a job makes you, um, it will never make you as happy as your family.
100%.
So I once I left that job and got a different job where I was working normal hours like my wife was. Um,
Mhm.
things got better dramatically really fast, right?
Yeah.
Um, people say I've had this talk with people. They're like, "Oh, I have to work 2 jobs because I need the money," right? And I'm like, "Oh, okay." I'm like, "What do you need all that 2 full paychecks worth of income for? Like, are you like upside down in an apartment? Someone bailed on you? Like, no." I'm like, You don't even have a car?" They're like, "No." I'm like, "Why do you need to work 2 jobs?" Well, because I take Lyft every day back and forth to work, and it's really expensive, right? I'm like, "Oh, so how much do you spend a week on Lyft?" Like $250. I'm like, "Cool." And the job you hate, how much a week do you make there? He goes, $250. I'm like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
No, literally.
I'm like, "Why are you
Literally.
working that job?"
Mhm.
Right? Quit your
Yeah.
job. Take the bus. You'll have more money in your pocket than you've ever had.
No, literally.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, dude, oh, I don't want to take the bus. I'm like, well, that sucks for you. Then stop bitching that you're working 2 jobs so you can pay for Lyft to bring you back and forth to work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, nobody wants to hear that. I don't
Mhm.
feel bad for you because you're making an irresponsible, bad decision. I don't feel bad, right?
Yeah.
Nor do I expect people to feel bad for me either, by the way. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I never go around going, oh, feel bad for me, feel sorry for me. People don't even know when I got shit going on usually, right? When something bad happens, they don't know. It's none of their business. I don't
Yeah.
shit and I don't talk about it. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
No, 100%.
And it's because I love my job. I'm happy with it. I don't feel the need to bring everyone else down because I'm not
Yeah.
dealing with crap.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? If you're happy with your job and you're happy with your life and you're happy with your work life balance, no matter what comes at you on either end, you will be okay and you will get through it.
Yeah.
Okay?
100%. 100%. Well, thank you everyone for watching. We will we have a new social media. Talked about it last week. We're still going to keep pushing it though. Make sure to check it out. Small Business Revolution on everything. I believe you have to add that underscore onto Instagram. Don't forget it. My dance locker underscore on Instagram. Make sure to go check it out. There'll be links everywhere for everything. You'll know where to stream it. All the links are in that big link on our social media page. Thank you guys for watching, and make sure you guys stay tuned. There's still a ton of new stuff that we're super excited about doing now that we're finally fully getting um, into the YouTube sphere, and now we're finally ready to launch a whole bunch of new projects. So make sure you stay tuned, and we will see you guys next week.